And now I'd like to bring on this, the phantom here of Roslindale, the inimitable, the illimitable, the talented, and the rich, thanks to me, Peter Bates.
I hope I can live up to that. Okay, the internet. They say you can get anything on the internet. It's quite an amazing invention. You can even, have anybody tried this? You can even pay bills on the internet. Now, there's something kind of interesting about this because you sign up to pay your electric bill and you supply them with your account number and your name, and that's basically it, except they ask you to figure out a name and password. I mean, you're not putting your credit card online on, why are they asking for a password? What are they protecting? This is, they're protecting you, I figured it out, against fellows like this, these hackers. Hey, Matt, I just broke into the Peter Bates account. His payment account. Oh yeah, you did? What are you gonna do? Well, fix him good. Oh yeah, what? We're gonna teach him a lesson. We're going to pay his bill. Yeah, that ought to throw him back to the typewriter age. He'll never go near a computer again. So it's totally unnecessary, but anyway, they do that to you. It's kind of irrational. Another thing I found out about on the internet, you can find stories about famous people. I found out a great story about the old comic Jonathan Winters. People remember him? Mm-hmm. Well, Jonathan Winters had this thing that he did. I don't know what the consequences were, but when he was in real life, like staying in hotels, he would get on a crowded elevator, and after they'd gone down a couple of floors, he'd turn to the associate and he'd say, "Do you think we tied him up too tightly?" And I keep thinking to myself, wow, what a great thing to try. But what would happen if you did it these days? Probably the worst possible thing. Nothing. Yeah, they got somebody tied up upstairs. Well, that's their thing. If they want to do it, I'm not going to call the cops. So, that's another thing. Now, the third thing I found out, and you see a lot of this on the internet, is stories that you wonder, this particular story was about Neil Armstrong and Mr. Gorski. Has everyone heard that one? No, nobody's heard that one? Well, apparently, when everybody knows when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, what he said when he first landed, one giant step, that sort of thing. But apparently he said something else when he was leaving. He said, "Good luck, Mr. Gorski." And nobody knew at the time who Mr. Gorski was. Now, Mr. Gorski was not on the Russian cosmonaut payroll. Nobody could figure it out. I always asked him, and he never told it. Finally, about 15 years after the moon landing, he suddenly was at a conference, a press conference, and somebody asked him again. He said when he was growing up in Ohio, he could say this now because Mr. Gorski was dead, he was growing up in Ohio. In 1939, he was 9 years old, he was playing baseball, and a baseball went crashing through Mr. Gorski's picture window. And he went to retrieve it, and he heard Mrs. Gorski arguing with Mr. Gorski. And she said, "Sex? You want sex? You'll get sex when the kid next door walks on the moon." Well, it's a great story. But it's not true. I Googled it, and it's an urban myth. And I think something more radical happened, something more bizarre. What probably really happened was in 1969, Mr. and Mrs. Gorski, Mrs. Gorski being the second Mrs. Gorski for 30 years, were sitting watching the moon landing, and all of a sudden they get bored after 5 minutes, and Mr. Gorski says, "It's fake. It's fake. You can see it's fake. They're doing it in a Hollywood lot." And she says, "How do you know it's fake?" "Well, it's fake. Look at that. You can see wires. You can see all sorts of stuff." And she says, "You can't see wires. You're 70 years old." "Well, I can see your cleavage, can't I?" And she says, "Oh, you scamp. You're going to remove that negligee, and then the two of them just turn off the TV and the lights, and that's what really happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.